Welcome back to CrimePod Castle's Twist to Love series. Today we're diving deep into a case that unfolded on those beautiful beaches of Goa. Back in 2016. Picture this. Golden beaches, turquoise waters, and a group of friends just on vacation. Now picture that perfect scene shattered by a crime of passion. This is the story of the Goa Tourist Love Triangle case, where a simple getaway turned into a nightmare fueled by jealousy, obsession, and ultimately violence.
This case really shows how quickly things can get out of control. When powerful emotions are left unchecked. And it asks us to think about the dark side of love. Possessiveness and jealousy can really hide beneath the surface.
Right. Okay, so let's break this down. We've got three people at the center of this story. Ananya Mehta, a really vibrant, outgoing marketing executive from Delhi, Karan, a software engineer from Mumbai, and Rahul Verma, a fitness trainer from Chandigarh. These three were friends, and they decided to escape the city for a relaxing vacation in Goa. Seems pretty normal so far, right? Just friends looking for some fun in the sun.
Yeah, but when we look closer, we'll see that the relationships between these three were much more complicated than just friends. Karan and Ananya had a past, an on-again, off-again relationship for 3 years. And then there's Rahul. He had feelings for Ananya that he wasn't expressing, so it adds another layer of complexity to this whole web of emotions.
Wow, that's quite a dynamic, especially on a vacation. I can only imagine how tense it must have been. Did things start to unravel pretty quickly?
Yeah, the relaxed atmosphere of the vacation couldn't hide everything forever. Witnesses remember a lot of tension between the three of them, frequent arguments, especially between Karan and Rahul. It seems like Karan was getting more and more possessive over Ananya. He was suspicious about a connection between her and Rahul.
So Ananya was right in the middle of all of this. That must have been incredibly difficult to be in that position.
Absolutely imagine being on a relaxing vacation, but feeling all this weight of unspoken feelings and tension. It's like a recipe for disaster, and unfortunately, in this case, it was.
Okay, let's talk about that last night. What exactly happened?
On the last night of their trip, they decided to go to a beach party in Baga. It's a popular spot, known for its lively atmosphere. But the party couldn't get rid of the tension between Karan and Rahul. Witnesses reported heated exchanges, palpable animosity. It made everyone uncomfortable.
So even with all those people and that energy, this tension was obvious.
That's how it seems. The party atmosphere, and the alcohol may have even made it worse, like a powder keg ready to explode.
And tragically, it did. What happened after the party?
The group went back to their rented villa, and that's where things took a terrible turn. Karan, full of jealousy and rage, confronted Rahul. He accused him of trying to steal Ananya away. They got into a huge argument, which quickly turned physical.
It's scary how a fun night out could become so violent so quickly. Was Ananya there during all this?
Yes, she was. And she tried to intervene to stop it, but she was injured in all the chaos. It was a scene of total chaos and violence.
That's awful to think about her caught in the middle of that. What happened next?
Karan grabbed a kitchen knife and, in a terrifying moment, stabbed Rahul multiple times. Ananya's screams got the attention of the neighbors, but it was too late. Rahul was dead, and Karan had run away, leaving behind a truly horrific scene.
This is just unbelievably tragic. What a devastating end to a trip that was supposed to be relaxing. I can't imagine the fear and helplessness Ananya must have felt seeing that. And to think it all came from something as powerful as love, twisted into something dark and destructive.
It really makes you think about how fast things can go wrong. When emotions like jealousy and possessiveness take control.
Now that we understand what happened that night, let's look at what came after. What happened after Karan ran away? What did the police find out?
Well, the Goa police started a huge investigation right away. They wanted to put all the pieces together, and as you can imagine, they quickly focused on three things: witness statements, forensic evidence, and finding Karan.
Let's start with those who saw this tragedy happen. What did the people who were around them during the trip have to say?
The statements they got were really important. They painted a picture of the relationships in the group. People who talked to them, other tourists, neighbors near their villa, even staff at places they went to. All of them said they saw the tension getting worse, especially Karan's possessiveness toward Ananya. It became clear that this wasn't just a sudden act of violence. It was more like a buildup of jealousy and resentment.
So those who saw them during the trip could see the warning signs, the anger building up that led to that terrible night.
Yeah.
But what about the actual evidence at the scene? Did that tell the investigators anything important?
Oh, absolutely. The crime scene told its own story. For example, they looked really closely at the blood spatter patterns. Those patterns can reveal a lot, like the direction of the attack, the positions of the victim and the attacker, even how much force was used. In this case, they helped figure out what happened, supporting what the witnesses said and showing a violent fight fueled by rape.
It's amazing how those tiny drops of blood can be so important. like puzzle pieces fitting together to show the truth. But what about the weapon itself? Did they find the knife?
Yes, the murder weapon was found right there. It was a kitchen knife from the villa. And this evidence was really bad for Karan. They found his fingerprints on the handle, directly linking him to the crime. It was a key part of the puzzle, a real connection to that night.
Okay, so we've got witnesses talking about the tension and possessiveness, a crime scene that points to a violent fight, and a murder weapon with Karan's fingerprints. Seems like there's a lot of evidence against him. But what about Karan himself? Did they find him?
Yes, they did. 2 days after the murder, Karan was caught in Mumbai. He had gone to a friend's place to hide. And when they questioned him, he confessed to the crime. His defense. He said he did it in a moment of rage, feeling betrayed by both Ananya and Rahul.
A moment of rage. That's something you hear a lot in crimes of passion. But was it really just a sudden act? Or was there something more planned about it? I'm guessing that became the big question when the trial started.
You're exactly right. That question was at the center of the trial. The whole country was fascinated by how dramatic and emotional it was. The prosecution said that Karan planned this. They pointed to his history of being possessive and jealous as evidence that he had planned this, a simmering rage that finally exploded.
So they were saying that his possessiveness, those warning signs people had noticed, meant that he already wanted to hurt someone. That's a serious thing to prove in court. What did the defense say?
The defense tried to show him as a man who was pushed too far. They said the murder was a tragic result of his emotional distress, not a cold-blooded act. They basically said that he lost control in that moment, overwhelmed by his emotions, and that led to this awful outcome.
So it was a fight over different interpretations. One side saying this was planned, the other saying it was a crime of passion. Must have been a tough job for the jury to decide what really happened. What was the verdict?
After weeks of fighting in court, the jury made their decision. Guilty. Karan Desai was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. The court said what he did was a terrible betrayal of trust, a harsh reminder of what can happen when jealousy and rage are left unchecked.
A strong verdict making him responsible for what he did. But this case also makes us look beyond just the legal part of it. It asks important questions about love itself, about the destructive power of jealousy, and about how society often makes possessiveness seem romantic.
Absolutely. This case, while incredibly sad and personal, also reflects bigger issues in society about romantic relationships, toxic behaviors, and what real healthy love is.
Now that we know the details of the case and what happened in court, let's talk more about these bigger societal implications. How do we as a society contribute to seeing possessiveness as romantic? And what can we do to encourage healthier relationships, to prevent tragedies like this from happening again?
Yeah.
It's true, we see that kind of possessiveness as a sign of love all the time, especially in movies and books, even music, like grand gestures because of jealousy, or someone saying, I can't live without you. It's romanticized so much that it's hard to see the danger underneath.
It's a dangerous idea that we need to change as a society. Possessiveness isn't love, it's a warning sign. It means someone is insecure and wants to control the other person, and that control can look like many things. Checking your partner's phone all the time, or keeping them away from friends and family.
It's like slowly erasing who they are, taking away their confidence and independence until they're trapped.
Exactly. And often people in those relationships don't see it as abuse. They might think it's because their partner loves them so much, or blame themselves for making their partner jealous.
So how can we start to change these harmful ideas? How can we change how society sees healthy love?
It starts with talking openly, challenging those romantic ideas about possessiveness and jealousy. We need to learn about the warning signs, the small hints of controlling behavior. And we need to emphasize that healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and communication, not on needing to control someone else.
That's so important. We need to teach young people about healthy relationships, help them see those red flags and prioritize their own well-being.
Exactly. We need to talk about these things in schools and homes everywhere. It's about creating a society that values emotional intelligence, where people can set boundaries and get help when they need it.
This case also showed us that we need to be more aware of the less obvious kinds of abuse, like emotional and psychological abuse. It's not always about physical violence. It's the manipulation, the constant criticism, the gaslighting.
Yeah.
That can really damage someone's self-worth and make them feel trapped and alone.
That's true. And those types of abuse are harder to see, to prove, and to prosecute. We need better laws to protect victims of emotional abuse, to make sure abusers are held responsible for their actions.
And we need to create a space where victims feel safe to come forward. There's still so much shame around abuse, especially emotional abuse. We need to get rid of that shame, let victims know they're not alone, and that getting help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
It's about creating a safety net, a support system, with friends, family, and organizations that can help. We need to be there for people who are struggling, to listen to, offer practical help, and connect them with resources like counseling or legal aid.
A lot of this comes down to each of us taking responsibility, recognizing the signs, having those tough conversations, and being there to support those who need it.
You're absolutely right. The Goa Tourist Love Triangle case is a terrible reminder of what can happen when jealousy and possessiveness aren't stopped, but it's also a chance for us to reflect and grow.
It makes us face some hard truths about our own society, and to do something to create a world where love really is about respect, equality, and healthy relationships.
And as we finish this deep dive, we want you, our listener, to think about these questions. What can you do in your own life to challenge those romantic ideas about possessiveness? How can you help create a culture that values healthy relationships and emotional well-being?
Remember, you're not alone. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, there's help out there. Reach out, find support, and know that there is hope for a better future.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope this conversation has made you think and encouraged you to look at your own beliefs and actions.
And as always, we encourage you to keep learning about these important issues for more deep dives into true crime stories and the societal issues they uncover. Make sure to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle and our YouTube channel. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and stay vigilant.